What's good, y'all? Making a walk back at y'all again. UFC 302. We getting ready for it. Y'all already know what it is. My boy Destin is about to fight, so it's about to get real around here.
We're starting right now.
You know what, dude? It's important. It's important, man. You're lucky we weren't doing this show, doing this stuff when Donald Cerrone was fighting. It was worse. It was worse.
I didn't realize he was such a huge Cowboy fan. I knew you liked him, but I didn't know he was that big.
Massive Cowboy fan. Super delusional when he was fighting Conor. Super delusional.
I was like that.
I was like, I think he got him. Yeah, nah, he didn't have him at all. He wasn't even close. But how are you feeling going into this card? I mean, it's a big week, man. It's kind of snuck by us a little bit.
Not that bothered me, to be honest. Going over some of these awards and stuff, which we're going to talk about in a minute. It kind of brought clearer focus into the fact that this card is kind of shit, on paper. On paper. I've never really been that hyped about it anyway. I mean, I've kind of been a bit meh about it since the beginning. So, which is why it will probably turn out to be really good. And we've got that 5v5 boxing event as well that I think will be quite good on the weekend. So there's things to look forward to. It's going to be we've got the Champions League final as well.
Absolutely.
Which is always a big occasion. So yeah, I'm hyped about this weekend regardless.
Yeah, this week, this first 10 days of June is just going to be insane. June as a whole is going to be insane. I mean, you just mentioned the Champions League. We got, for us, the NHL finals. Dallas is in the final, in the
That's sweet.
Western Conference Finals. We got the Mavericks in the Western Conference Finals up 3-0. It's a lot going on.
Very good.
I feel confident.
Ladies and gents, it's officially that time of the year. Sun's out, guns out, and let's not forget about the buns out too. Thanks to the Performance Package 5.0 Ultra from Manscaped, you can make sure everything's smooth from your pubes to your bum. Yes, we're talking about keeping your boys downstairs cool while turning up the heat everywhere else. Now let me tell you about the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. This trimmer is a game changer with its dual LED spotlights and skin-safe technology to help reduce grooming accidents. Whether you're at the beach, by the lake, or stepping out of the shower, this waterproof wonder has got your back and your front. Believe me, after a close encounter with my old trimmer last summer, I wouldn't go anywhere else. Thanks to Manscaped, my confidence and my sack are both looking better than ever. And because we love giving back to our fans, here's an exclusive offer for you. Head over to manscaped.com and use promo code MTW to get 20% off plus free shipping. Yes, you heard right, 20% off and free shipping with code MTW. But wait, there's more. Like this video, share it on Instagram or Twitter, tag us, and leave a comment below, and you'll be entered in our drawing to win a free Lawnmower 5.0. Don't miss this chance to elevate your grooming game. So, what are you waiting for? Join the Smooth Sack Summer movement with Manscaped. Get on board or get left behind.
So, about this card, we're gonna, as we do, which is a new tradition now, going into this pre-awards, we're gonna look at some awards that we think people might attain based on their performance in this fight or in these fights. So diving into the first one, and I think this one, at least for me, is probably obvious. The first one is the Shock the World Award. I'll let you go first because you know where I'm going.
Yeah, I had a few candidates for this one. I thought this was a really hard one to pick. The first one that actually came to mind was, I thought Philip Rowe was the first one I thought of. He's like a slight underdog. I think Jake Matthews is quite good, but he's very inconsistent. And I like the range that Rowe has. I think he might be able to clip him, so I quite like him as a slight underdog in that fight. The next one I thought of was Mikhail Oleksiejczuk and Kevin Holland. I know Mikel just got destroyed by Pereira, but I'm thinking it's more of a plus on Pereira than it is a dark mark on Oleg Zaychuk, who looked really good outside of that fight in other middleweight fights he's had. So, I like that Oleg Zaychuk can go to the grappling, but I'm not going to go with that because we don't really know what version of Kevin Holland we're going to get. And
we never do.
Usually when we count him out and, he goes on a bit of a losing streak, that's usually when he pulls it out of the bag and starts winning again. So I'm expecting that from Holland at some point. The underdog of the card I'm going to go with is Aleski dos Santos as an underdog pick. I don't think Randy Brown is that good. I really don't. I think Aleski is very hard to finish. I think he brings a lot of pressure. And I think getting him at plus 200 is insane value. I think he's beaten really good guys. I think he's dog tough. I know he's a little bit old, but he's got cardio. I think he's going to beat Randy Brown on Saturday. And I think he's going to fuck up a lot of parlays on Saturday night.
That's a good one. That is a really good one. And I did think about that too, because I don't think that he's getting enough love in this lead up, because I don't know if it's because of him not being known because of the flashiness of Randy Brown, but that's a really solid pick. For me, like I thought about Romanov, Alexander Romanov against Jailton Almeida. I think that he can, the game that Jailton Almeida plays, I feel like Romanov he might be open to play that game with him and take advantage of him and use his size. One thing that a lot of people don't know is Romanov's background in sumo and him being able to move people without, against their will often. That's part of the game in sumo. So that's something I thought about. I also thought about Paulo Costa up until him, the fight going the other way. He was putting it on Robert Whittaker and almost got him out of there, with that wheel kick. So, and I still might pick Paulo Costa, to be honest. I'm still thinking about that. But, of course, I got to go with the massive underdog in the fight that nobody thinks he's going to win. I got to go with my boy, Dustin Poirier, to shock the world and put some hot sauce on Islam Makhachev. So here's the thing though. Like, do I think he's going to do it? Do I think he's going to do it? Do I really think he's going to do it? Nah, probably not. But I can't be on this platform and not go for my boy. I can't not do it. I have to stick to my guns.
You could.
No.
You could.
No, I can't. I can't.
You're quite a strangely loyal person. You and I don't really have that in common. I'm the stab in the back type. You know what I mean?
No,
I'm the smile in the face, knife in the back type.
No, it's just a handful of people, handful of fighters that I have that blind loyalty to. Dustin Poirier is one of those people, just like Cowboy Cerrone, Derek Lewis. Those type of people where it's just like, I just can't pick against them. No matter what. Now I will hedge just like I just did, but I'm actually going to put some money on Dustin Poirier. That's how far I'm going to do it. Now I'm not putting serious money, but I'm going to put some money just in case. You never know. You never quite know. So
yeah, he's going to get dismantled, mate, but we'll talk about. I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on because I do have a little epilogue prepared for this particular fight, but I'm going to save it.
Okay.
I'm going to save it.
So the next award, the Under the Radar Award, and this one's going to go to the sneaky good fight on the card. Now this is going. I'm sure this is probably took a little bit of brain power considering how you feel about the card. But what do you think about this one?
This one was actually easier for me because as you're putting it, it's the sneaky good fight, not just the, it's going to be a good fight, which is slightly different. Mm-hmm. Because I think there are, as much as I've dunked on this card, and I have done, there are some fights on this card that should be good value. I think Strickland and Costa is going to be a good scrap. Mm-hmm. I think the fight between Kopylov and Almeida has potential to be quite good standing as well. I think the odds on that one are really weird as well, by the way, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. I think the Holland and Oleg Zaychuk fight could be potentially decent as well. But again, these fights are not going to surprise anyone. Like, if these 3 fights are good, nobody's going to be particularly surprised. I'm actually going for one that's a little bit lower down on the card and a bit more of a one that's not really being talked about. I'm going for Nico Price and Moreno.
Yeah.
As my potential sneaky fight of the night. They fought before. They had a hell of a war. And I'm pretty sure that Price took a dive against Robbie Lawler so that they could play his sunset piece after that. It would have been a waste of good editing if he'd lost.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, they put the package together. It was all very... Didn't want to waste that editing time. So I've watched it a couple of times and I'm convinced he dove for him. But, you know, either way, like, I think... The reason why I think this one could be potentially good is Moreno obviously throws down anyway. You know, he's quite a scrappy guy. But, you know, Nico Price is kind of in his last chance saloon now. And that guy has like 25 kids. So he has to win.
He does have a lot of kids.
Or he's going home. You know, so I think this is going to bring the best out of both of them. I think obviously Moreno lost before. He's going to want to get that back. And Price is literally, this could be his last chance. So I'm expecting them both to come out swinging in this one. I don't think it's going to get fight of the night because of where it is on the card. We know how that goes with the bonuses and whatnot. Sure. But I think it would be a nice prelim hype booster. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned them because that's actually the one that I picked too. Wow. And for a lot of those same reasons, I don't remember a Nico Price fight that wasn't entertaining, whether he won or lost. He looks different. He fights different. And he's always kind of out for blood. He's kind of a killer be killed type of fighter. And Moreno is, you know, he's action packed too. He's going to put himself on the line to try to get a win, and in the way that he fights, try to get a knockout. So I don't see how this fight is not entertaining. And like you said, those are 2 fighters that are normally not even the B side, like the F side of fighting more known fighters. Like you mentioned, Nico against Robbie Lawler. Alex Moreno fought Cowboy Cerrone to a draw in, you know, one of his sunset fights. So they're used to being, you know, that type of fighter for other people. But when they match up, you know, with each other, they definitely throw down. I think that's going to be a very entertaining fight. Super entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't too, because outside of the fights that we know are going to be good, this is the kind of one that's not being talked about that could really be sneaky good. And we have the fight between them before to go on that as well. So I think it's a fairly decent shout. Yeah, I like that one.
All right, so the next one is kind of the total opposite of what's going on. There is the Why Are You Here award. And this goes to the most underwhelming performance, or at least who we think will have the most underwhelming performance. And I'm just talking about one individual, not necessarily the whole fight, but one individual.
Yeah, that's how I interpreted it as well. Yeah, it's a funny one because there are a few candidates that deserve this honor. Like the first one that sprang to mind was Mickey Gall. That was the first name that came to mind. I don't know how the fuck this guy still has a job. He's fucking terrible. But I think he's 7-5, and he's been roasted repeatedly by mid-level fighters for the majority of his career. I mean, the one that stood out to me was when he got sparked out by like a dusty Diego Sanchez.
Yeah.
Which is just unacceptable in my book. You can't get knocked out by 30-odd-year-old Diego Sanchez, who's, you know, he's not all there, is he? And like, if he's sparking you out, you're not good. So yeah, the only reason why I'm not picking him is because there is the potential to have egg on my face, because I know that like Hafez looked really good against JDM, but it could have been a case of he just elevated himself as a short notice opponent, and it could have been a case of that. And I wouldn't be overly shocked if Gall beat Hafez, even though I am picking Hafez. Romanov was another one that I was considering. which is the opposite to what the direction you were going in, because I just think he's a fat mess with no cardio, and he's just like immensely disappointed me, because when I first saw this guy in the UFC, I thought this guy's going to be a problem at heavyweight, because you don't really see people that have skilled anything in heavyweight. They're more just like, apart from at the very top. And certainly when he was operating, he had a distinct skill that you could say, do you know what? He can take people down and he can fuck them up. But he's just got, he's a mess of a man. So I think he could potentially look horrible on Saturday night. This one actually hurts me to say this, and you're probably going to be very pissed with me for this pick. It's not going to be who you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that cruel.
That would have been messed up.
I'm going to go. I wouldn't go that far. Like, I'd like to keep our friendship. I'd like to keep it friendly around here. Do you know what I mean? We've got a long-standing relationship. We're going to be doing a lot of business together. I would like to not fuck that up. I'm going with Kevin Holland. I don't think he really cares about winning that much anymore. And I mean, he's kind of in a very funny position now where, like, the UFC obviously loves him. He's getting paid a lot of money. They seem to be willing to keep him around no matter what. I just have a bad feeling he's going to get grapple fucked and that he's going to kill a whole load of parlays on Saturday night. Because I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be using him as a parlay fluffer. I like Oleksiejczyk's boxing. I think it's fairly decent. I've never really liked Holland at middleweight. He's taken the fight relatively quickly after his last loss. I don't know. I just think he's going to go in there and get dragged down to the mat and look horrible, and he's going to piss a lot of people off and lose people some money. I'm going with Holland. It hurts.
I like Holland a lot, but he makes me nervous. He makes me nervous the way that Terrence McKinney makes me nervous now. Like, every time they go in there, I'm like, something potentially bad could happen. Something spectacular could happen. But
either way,
yeah, it's boom or bust. So this one was kind of tough because a lot of the people that you mentioned were kind of on my list of concerns. Jalton Almeida was actually on my list as well because of how one-dimensional he is in the heavyweight division. I almost wish like he would go down to light heavyweight. Just go down and be the big dude, man. Go down there and be the big dude.
Yeah. And
it would change things a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I'm actually going to a person that you mentioned is Mickey Gall. Like, I feel like he's one of those regional champions that doesn't necessarily belong on the stage. I think that there's instances where I feel like he can show up and show out, but I don't think that he belongs here anymore. He does a lot of things to look the part, but it never gets there for me. And I almost feel like he shouldn't even be on a numbered card. He should, if he's going to fight in the UFC, it should be on the prelims of a fight night at best. Like, I don't believe that he should be here. Now, he could turn it around and beat Basel and shut me up, and if you do, props to you, but I just don't see it, man. I don't see him showing that, at least at this stage in his career. Like, I think it's too far gone, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I don't have any faith in Mickey Gall at all whatsoever.
I mean, he's the fact that he's hanging around the organization at 7-5, and if you think that one of those wins came against CM Punk, and he's like, the wins he's had have all been shit. I think he might have had one or two that were fine, like they were all right, but generally the wins he's had have been horrible, and the losses. The only good win I can remember him having was against Sage Northcutt, which has obviously aged a little bit better. But Sage was young as fuck as well, and
I don't think he can't beat
how much
Sage
stock
now.
Can you really put in that win? Sage would murder him now.
Destroy that man, and maybe that's what he needs to do. Go over to one, but who knows if Sage is going to fight him one.
I don't think one would be taking him. Yeah.
I don't know if Sage is in one anymore. The way that he talked bad about them. All right, so we talked about the underwhelming performance. Let's talk about the most underwhelming fight. So This one is the Time for a Refill Award. So this is for the boring ass fight. Now I got burned by this before, but let's see if this happens again.
You did. Burned in the worst way possible. It was legendary how bad that pick was.
It was bad.
It was bad. But I mean, it's one of those ones where when you pick this category wrong, it's a celebration. Do you know what I mean?
I was glad to be wrong.
Because like I said, we don't want any.
I was glad to be wrong.
Yeah. And to be fair, you've been talking Aldana up a lot since then.
I have made amends.
You've had a lot of nice things to say. You've made amends, definitely made up for it. I had 3 candidates for this one. I was going to just go with Perez and Edwards as potentially being a horribly bad fight on paper. But I think they might actually, I have a weird feeling that they might actually scrap it out and it may end up not entirely sucking. I think it will be low level, but I think they'll get scrappy and it will be entertaining for that because of the platform that they're on. And they both have the potential to do that. I just hope we don't get any fucking twerking from either of them at the end.
Dude, if Eileen wins, you're going to get twerking. That's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I just wish you would. I mean, I'm not like, this is going to sound very, hypocritical of me because everyone knows I've said a few perverted things on this channel. Let's be fair, I have. But she's just got nothing to shake and it's just horrible to watch. It's like, it's just disgusting. It does nothing for me and I'd rather she just didn't embarrass herself.
I feel like it's just misplaced. Like you can have fun and do that stuff. That's cool. But like, there's a time and place, and I feel like that's not the time or the place for it.
Yeah.
But
I don't think there should be any time or any place if you just don't have the goods. Put it away. If you got it, flaunt it. If you don't, just leave it alone. Is my opinion on that one. So I was going to go for that one, but I do have a sneaky feeling that fight's going to be okay. Selecki and Grant was another one that I considered. Because that has very strong potential to descend into like a clinch and top control fest. Very possible. But I'm actually going to go with Almeida and Romanov. I feel like you have to. Like, again, I've gone over the fact that Romanov is like a fat polar bear with zero cardio, and I genuinely feel that way about him. I think he's horrendous to watch at times. And Almeida, the thing I hate about Almeida more than anything else is he's very happy to just lay and pray when he gets people down. He's happy to just sit on you and do nothing. And there's a very strong possibility that could happen where he could just take Romanov down somehow. As good as Romanov is, I'm kind of hoping, my hope in hope, and again, I'm hoping I end up with egg on my face. I'm hoping that they both try to grapple each other, that they cancel each other out, and then they just start fucking swinging for the fences. That's what I'm hoping. But I have to look at it, again, what we've got in front of us. They're two very boring, very dull grapplers. On paper, I think this could be the stinkiest fight of the night, but I'm hoping that it goes in the other direction. I've learned my lesson from you, sir. I'm putting a little back door, a little trap door in my pick.
That's
there,
smart.
In case.
It's hard to not go with Almeida and Romanov. Like, you know what? I'm going to double down. I'm actually going to go even worse than I did before. I think that this fight could possibly be the worst fight of the year. I think it might be that boring. Like, it's going to be awful. Unless they do cancel each other out. And in that case, Almeida actually has some really good kicks. And we could get something, pretty spectacular if he chooses to use those kicks. A lot of times he uses those kicks to get people to think about the kick so that he can go for the takedown. But if he uses the kick to actually do damage, then we could get something spectacular. And I hope that that's the way it goes. But if this does not go that way and they choose to grapple, go get something to drink. Because when you come back, they're going to be right there where you left them.
Yeah, I can see it going that way as well. Again, there's the potential. I mean, the fact that I'm so deflated about this card in general tells me that it's going to be... Usually when I go into a card feeling this way is usually when I get, I'm going to touch wood there. It's usually where things
Hey, but you know what? How did you feel going into 301? Like going into it?
I wasn't completely down on it, but I wasn't. I mean, you remember how we treated that card? We literally just half an hour before, and it was like, "Do you want to jump on and do a live for the main?" Like, it was a numbered card, and we were like, that was the attitude we had towards the card. It was like we had no plans to do anything for it. We didn't do a breakdown of it, from what I remember. We might have. I think we might have done a little live one. It was begrudgingly. It was like, oh, we should do it because it's a numbered card. Like, I wouldn't say I was overly down on it, but it was a banger of a card.
It really, really was.
I loved it. Crowd were great. It was a great card, and it was another standout.
Another standout card. Since the expectations are low, maybe we get surprised, and hopefully that's the case. It's a bit top heavy in comparison, but I mean, what else are they gonna do? All right, so here's the last award, and I'm super interested in where you go with this one. So the MVP of the night, so the fighter with the best performance of the night.
Yeah, this one was the hardest one to pick for me, because as I said, this card on paper is quite shit. So it was like, I don't know. I really didn't know where to go with this. I'm going to get the obvious out of the way. I think that Makhachev is going to dominate your boy. I think he's going to teabag him. But then the thing is, like, he should, because, like I said, it's a favorable matchup for him. I think Poirier is on the way out. And we're going to talk about that in more detail later. I don't like the circumstances surrounding this fight, and it's made me more nervous about it. I was going to actually... My initial thought was I was going to go with Roman Kopylov, because I think that, like, Almeida's very inexperienced, and I think he's being a little bit overrated. And I think, Kopylov will bounce back, and look really good doing so. Like, he lost to Fluffy his last time out, but for me, he hasn't really dropped stock at all, because I know how good Fluffy is. And I mean, you know how I feel about Fluffy. Like, I had no doubts. Everyone was picking Kopylov. And again, I didn't begrudge you for it. It's just that, like, I've watched Fluffy's career so carefully, and, like, I know how good this guy is, and I was adamant that he was going to win that night. So I didn't see it as a slight on Kopylov at all. I think that them being I think Kopilov's even the slight underdog, which again is kind of baffling to me. I think he's going to get into the kind of fight where I think Almeida's going to give him the kind of fight that he wants, and that Kopilov's going to look good. But I'm going with Sean Strickland. For some reason, I thought that this, and I did a live stream the other day, and I thought that this was going to be a 3-rounder, which is like. So I was picking Strickland, but I wasn't as confident. I was like, it's a 3-rounder. Costa's probably going to be able to empty the gas tank. But now that I know that it's a 5-rounder, I think that Strickland's going to style out here. I think he's going to be amazing. I can see this being fight of the night, not just performance of the night. I think both of them are going to pick up fight of the night bonuses tonight, on Saturday night. I think the first 2 rounds are going to be razor close. Like, they're going to be. I'd say Costa might even edge the first 2 rounds of aggression, and then I think Strickland's going to take over and start styling out on him and piecing him up. And I think he's going to look really good. I think he's going to make Costa look silly towards the end of the fight. And I think he's going to make he'll make a strong claim to get thrust back into, or vaulted back into a title fight, which he's not going to get. I think he's going to beat Costa, and then he's going to have to win another one. But I'm going Sean Strickland.
So this one was difficult for me too. I didn't want to pick Dustin again, because I mean, obviously if Dustin wins, which nobody thinks that he will, he's clearly the MVP of the night.
It's got to be performance of the night. Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Because he's not going to beat him in the decision. That's not going to happen. If he beats him, he's going to get a finish. So it would be him. But I'm going to go a little different. I'm actually going to pick Paulo Costa. And the reason I will is because I think that he learned something in that Robert Whittaker fight. I think that he learned a lot about himself, even in that loss. And I think that he's going to show a different level, a different type of fight with Sean Strickland. A little bit more tactical with his offense. But even though I mean, I won't be surprised if Sean Strickland wins by any means. Sean Strickland is a championship fighter now. But I think that Paulo Costa is showing that he's not far off from that level with what he did with Robert Whittaker. So if he does come away with this win, then I got to lean on him being the MVP of the night.
Yeah, do you know what? It's a good shout, because like it's very weird saying that like his fight against Whittaker was probably his best performance in the UFC in a loss.
It was.
It's a weird way to say, because he has had some, like, you know, he's had some really good wins in the UFC, or decent wins.
That was a good
the
win.
Romero one was one that stood out in particular. It was a really good win. It just felt like two meatheads just slinging until, and just one meathead happened to connect more than the other. But against Whittaker, he genuinely impressed me. Like, nobody thought he won the fight, but he did miles better than people were expecting. And it's like, it's what you said, that maturity was there. So it's a good shout. Like, he could, and again, I like, it's a weird one, because I like both guys a lot. Like, they're two of my favorite fighters in terms of personalities.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's win-win, lose-lose. But it's interesting that we picked on either side of it.
I mean, because I could see the other side. I could see the other side clearly. Can see it.
And that's why the MVP, and the same thing was, that's what the MVP of the card. It's the danger coming from the other side. You're not an MVP if there's no danger coming across. And
that's why it's hard to pick Islam, like you said.
If it's an easy fight, because he's expected to win. So yeah. So
that's our awards, y'all. Pre-awards. We'll have post-awards. We'll also talk a little bit deeper in our live chat later on in the week. But let us know what y'all think, you know, heading into these awards. You know, who do y'all have picked for this? How do you think these fights are going to play out? Because there's a lot of different avenues. This is kind of like a pivot card, because there's a lot of things that could happen from this card that will spring off into other cards and make other fights more impactful than they already are. But anyway, remember to like, share, subscribe, and till next time.